As you can see, new haircut. What do you think? I look beautiful, that's what I think. Probably not. As you can see, the studio is more light. Studio. It's because I'm recording in the morning. There's actually daylight outside. It's not 10 o'clock at night. But that actually means I'm like exhausted because I am not a morning person. So, the things I do for you. Fun fact, if I was married currently and had children, I would not send my children to public school. I probably would not want to send them to Catholic school. If it was a possibility, I would want them to be homeschooled. Let's talk about that. Why would I want my children someday to be homeschooled? Well, as somebody that went through public school is a great way for your child, at least in my experience, to experience trauma, to become addicted to pornography, to potentially be abused from their teachers, although I did not have that experience, thankfully. And to lose their way and give up on the Catholic faith. Every single Catholic student, every single one. There were some that were worse than others, but every single student that came, at least from a Catholic school, maybe there were Catholics that didn't go to Catholic school ever that were actually Catholic, but every single student that went to a Catholic school that then came to my public school and transferred in, by the time they graduated high school, were no longer practicing the faith. Most of them coming out of Catholic school were Catholic, but it still remains. It is not a Catholic-friendly environment in a public school. Depends on the state you're in, but a lot of, and probably universally, public schools, although some are worse than others, are not Catholic-friendly. It's my understanding that the public school system was created during the Industrial Revolution, and it's not supposed to create creative thinkers. It's made to create single-minded workers. I think back to my classes and my teachers, and I would not say I had a very enriching experience. Not a fulfilling education. There's a lot of memorization. Still is in college. But at least there's more problem solving in college. There's no problem solving in a public education. We're not taught how to think of creative ways to come up with solutions. We're taught direct answers to questions. It's like Jeopardy. That's a good way of putting it. Public education is just learning how to be better at Jeopardy. Now, why am I not sending my child in this exercise, this theoretical exercise? Why would I not send my child to a private school? Well, maybe I would. But so far, a lot of the stories I've heard, a lot of the people that I've met, didn't have great experiences in private schools either. One, a lot of them are not much different than public schools when it comes to route memorization, Jeopardy training, rather than cognitive thinking. And both private and public school, and probably it's worse in private school, there is such an emphasis on going to college. We are training you to go to college, and if you don't go to college, you're a failure. It's very much the mentality that there is one track, and that is to go to college. And if you don't go, it's because you aren't good enough, because you're dumb, because you're not like the rest of us and elite. Even though, let's be honest, people, Michigan State University is by no means elite. So why are we making people that go to trade school, become electricians and make $80K feel bad when we're encouraging people to go to spend $100,000 on school at Michigan State University and then come out with a communications degree that literally can't be used for anything? And that person makes $30K. Doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, communications majors people. Prove me wrong, please. Because I do wish you the best. Yeah, no. And then there's plenty of room, just like there is in every environment, but schools are a breeding ground of sin. Especially sins of the flesh. It's rampant in Catholic schools as well. And I don't want my children someday to come out with addictions, whether that be alcohol, drugs, pornography, sex. I'd rather that doesn't happen. Why does that have to happen? Why is there such an emphasis that we must push our kids through hell while they're growing up? Because that's what we do. That's what's going to make them grow up. I don't think purposely putting them through trauma is the best way for them to grow up. I'm not saying every kid has traumatic experiences at school. What I am saying is that they're much more likely, in my opinion, in school. Having said that, there are plenty of really good, awesome Catholic schools. A lot of them aren't. Probably most of them aren't really awesome, but there are some. So would I send my child there? Maybe, probably, I don't know. That's a decision down the road with prayer with my time wife, and we'll see what God wants. But as I sit here right now, logically, in my mind, what education should my child have? Especially when they're younger and they're so much more malleable by what their environment, of what's around them, their peers. I think when children are younger, they're so much more susceptible to that. I think they should be with their mom. Or, I mean, lesser so their dad, honestly. When they're young, I think it makes sense for them to be with their mom. I know that's what I would want. that does seem naturally to be what makes most sense, in my opinion. So, I don't know much about homeschooling, to be honest. I don't. I am 22, and I wasn't homeschooled. But at least the idea of it sounds good to me. Who would know my children the most? Their mother. So who is going to be able to cater to their needs, to provide the education that best suits them specifically? Their mother. That just seems to make sense to me. In a large school format out of 30 kids, how is my child going to be met where he needs to be? The education level that specifically meets the needs of my child when there's 30 other in the room. There's no way. There is no way. And it's not the teacher's fault. The teacher's going to do the best they can, although a lot of them don't. But a lot of them do. And even if that teacher's doing the best that they can and they're an awesome teacher, how are they going to meet my child's specific needs? Or is their mother 100% can do a better job of that? When other children may be not understanding a concept in the classroom, but others are, those other children, yes, they can be given another assignment or whatever, but over the course of the year, if that continually happens, there's no way that those children that are understanding the material faster aren't being held back. There's no way that they aren't. Homeschooling, when the child understands what's going on, when they understand the concept, you can move on. You can cover a lot more material that's actually useful too. As Catholics, what is important to us for our children's development is in contrast and is different than what the secular world demands of the public school system. They are at odds with each other. They cannot be reconciled. What the world teaches of good and bad is not the same understanding of the Catholic Church. And I do not want my children to be molded to the world. Instead, I want my children to be formed in God's church. I'll catch you next time.